So at the time of making this video, the 2025 AFL season has only just started. But in saying that, we actually have just got a bunch of new trade news over the last week or two, which I thought was not only pretty shocking, at least most of it, but definitely enough where I can come down and sit here with you guys with a freaking Tate McRae shirt on and absolutely yap about all these rumours about players potentially moving to other teams, literally just as the season is starting. And it's kind of crazy, but with the AFL very much trending towards a more, I think, NBA type trade system where a lot more players are actually moving teams, and a lot of players are moving teams now, not only just to go back to their home cities or hometowns, but are moving teams to chase success, such as again, Daniel Rowell going to the Gold Coast Suns last offseason. Again, we are seeing a lot more of that at the time being, and you might even see some scenarios here that are very much, of course, like that. So again, before we do get into all that and more, I would just like to say there's still a decent amount of you guys who watch these videos who are not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you could do me a massive favor and leave a like on this video to let me know you guys enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel for the latest AFL news, AFL content, trade news, all of the above, and I guess we'll just get straight into it. Again, to start off, we'll talk about some of the more popular trades that have been covered in the media so far. Of course, one of them being the Luke Jackson situation right now, where it is being said that Victorian clubs, headlined by Melbourne, are exploring the possibility of pursuing a trade for Luke Jackson. Again, there's this big thing on here that says that Victoria clubs, headlined by Melbourne, are exploring the possibility of pursuing a trade for Fremantle ruckman Luke Jackson 3 years after he returned home to WA. The 23-year-old is contracted with Fremantle until 2029 after signing an initial 7-year deal, and has constantly told the Dockers he loves the club and living in the West. The 7 News understands that clubs are monitoring Jackson's situation and believe the door is ajar for him to consider a move back to Victoria after a change in his personal life. Jackson's new partner, former Australian netballer Kelsey Brown, hails from Victoria. While she has signed on as an ambassador for a Perth-based super netball side West Coast Fever for 2025, she also has expanded work opportunities on the East Coast. Jackson recently spent the Christmas period with Brown and her family on the Victorian surf coast. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Again, Mitch Cleary's reported on it. Ryan Daniels has also reported on it as well. Again, I do think that a lot of clubs are going to come hard. Pause. Just after hearing this news, and I think that the Melbourne Demons will legitimately be right there in trying to get Luke Jackson to the team again. It makes sense because Cozzy Pickett wants to go back home to, again, WA. As we know, he wants to go play for Fremantle. He's literally texted, apparently, Fremantle players saying that is his intention. We also know, though, that Melbourne don't look like they're going into a full committed rebuild, and looks like they're going to try and rebuild on the run and hang around for a little bit, and again try and make the 8 in a couple years, but continue to try and push for it. So they're not going to be wanting to, I think, trade Cozzy Pickett just for absolutely nothing and completely try and bottom out on experienced players and just have draft picks in. I think they will target a player or two with the intention of trying to again rebuild on that run, but also with rumours saying that Petrarca and Oliver might have fixed connections and relationships with the club. Again, it doesn't look like they might be going fully into a rebuild, at least at the time of making this video. We don't know how the season's going to pan out, but going after a guy like Luke Jackson would make so much sense. It would also make so much, sense for a guy like Richmond, who desperately need, I think, a future ruckman, and even a guy who can maybe play with Toby Nankervis for the next couple years, for the, little short term. They're going to be looking for that future ruck. And Luke Jackson would actually be a really ideal player to bring in. The only issue is, as far as I see it, I don't think Fremantle are going to trade Luke Jackson. I also, just think they're going to really try and keep him to that contract. They're going to, even if he even wants to go home. I just don't think it's in the cards for them right now, especially with Darcy continuously getting injured for the Fremantle Dockers. I don't think they're going to be wanting to move on from Luke Jackson at all, and I just can't see it happening. And they're trying everything to fit Jackson and Darcy together when Darcy is healthy. You know, they literally were playing Luke Jackson in like the midfield over the preseason. So again, I can't see it happening, and I think that he will probably stay with the footy club. We also got some other news here where they're saying that rivals are potentially going to be going for Nasiah Wayang Miller. You know, they've actually tabled long-term deals for the Saints as well. Again, I think Wayang Miller will probably re-sign with St Kilda on like some massive 8-year deal. I think with how much money St Kilda are offering all these other players, and they're definitely not going to try and, you know, lose and sign Wayang Miller. And I think other Victorian clubs and even, of course, South Australia clubs will go pretty hard for him. As mentioned earlier, Richmond, who I think will go for Jackson, they have a ton of salary cap, and they'll basically be going for everyone under the sun. So I think they'll offer a deal. I wouldn't be surprised if Port Adelaide and Adelaide got a little sniff and they try to offer a deal as well. I think he'll re-sign though, and I think he'll get paid a hell of a lot to, of course, re-sign with the team. I can't see that happening at all. Again, another one does happen to be Matt Rowell, with saying that the Western Bulldogs are right in the hunt for Gold Coast Matt Rowell. The Dogs are understood to be one of the 4 clubs Rowell met with in the off-season and will be in serious conversation for him if he continues to hold off on contract talks, and that was being reported by Callum Toomey. Now look, I think, from what I know, the clubs that have met with Rowell do happen to be Collingwood, Hawthorn, Essendon, and the Western Bulldogs, with, I believe, actually no, Geelong. Geelong were definitely one of them. So maybe he hasn't met with either Hawthorn or Essendon. Again, other than those 5 clubs, of course, you know, I sound like a broken record here, but yeah, Richmond, they've also been linked to him, even though I don't think he suits them. Gold Coast, of course, have been very, very much linked to him. And I'm sure other Victorian clubs will try and get into this conversation pretty shortly. Like, I think even the Melbourne Demons will probably go for him, and actually would be a nice team for him as well. And they could secretly be one of the teams that has met with him too. I just think that with how Matt Rowell is going right now, I mean, he's going to be getting a nice deal. I actually really liked what I saw from him in pre-season with the Gold Coast Suns, and it might even be changing my opinions on what I've previously mentioned on the channel. I've been very vocal about saying I think Gold Coast should let him walk, just because I don't think he fits Dimmer's game style, and they've already got Anderson in there who's way too similar. You don't want too much of a one-dimensional midfield, but he actually played a lot different than what I think he's previously played like this most recent preseason games. Again, his speed actually looked a lot better. His endurance was really good. He played a little bit of a different role than Anderson, I thought, and actually they kind of complemented them, you know, each other way better than what they previously have done. So I think that will give Gold Coast second opinions on this, and they might look to really, you know, pay him a lot of money and convince him to stay. The other thing is, why would the Dogs need Matt Rowell? They have 897 different midfielders. You literally had freaking Sanders not being able to get a game last year. You just brought in Matt Kennedy. You brought in Harms the year before. Why do they need Matt Rowell? Like, go and get another Key Backman or something like that. This is, in my opinion, idiotic. If Matt Rowell was to go to the Dogs, I would be so surprised. I mean, so many better options. Melbourne, Geelong, Collingwood, even freaking Hawthorn, man. Yeah, going to the Dogs doesn't make any sense. And that's not me saying the Dogs suck or anything. I'm saying it doesn't make sense because the Dogs don't need Matt Rowell, while a bunch of other clubs do. Yeah, it would be idiotic, it would be stupid, and I legitimately just can't see it happening. But what I could potentially see happening, and a recent report that has come out that has really blown a lot of people away and I think shocked a lot of people, but the report's saying that Hawthorn are really interested in Oscar Allen. Again, before I do get into that, we did hear a little bit ago that Oscar Allen apparently had met with the Brisbane Lions and could be, you know, assessing the market for him to potentially leave. Again, a lot of you guys actually commented down below saying that this was just him to get a rival team interested so West Coast could actually offer him a lot more money. And try and make that happen. But this looks like it's going way further than that now, because not only does he have that one team that he met with, but there are rumours now that he's met with Hawthorn. There are all these conversations that he could be actually wanting to move on, which is crazy because this guy is the West Coast Eagles captain. I still think he's going to heavily re-sign, but wow, we just got to talk about these rumours, because it's being said that Hawthorn has emerged as a major suitor for looming West Coast free agent Oscar Allen. Brisbane remains the front runner to secure the Eagles co-captain should he depart his home state at the end of the season, but the Hawks have thrown their hat in the ring as a serious contender. Yeah, the Eagles are yet to put an acceptable long-term deal on the table to Allen's management, and it's believed the Hawks, like Brisbane, are preparing to offer a top-end long-term contract. Both Brisbane and Hawthorn are in the market for a key forward, while several other Victorian clubs have also expressed interest. Sam Mitchell looms as a key weapon in discussions. This is being reported by the West Australian. Again, we know that Sam Mitchell, again, talked Tom Barrass into coming to the Hawks, while also having some wedding conversations with Harley Reid, which has definitely been, blown out of proportion. There's nothing going on there, but that was still funny that the media took that and kind of ran with it. Like my dad, was supposed to run with milk to my house, but he never came back. He's still looking, apparently. He's still looking out there for some milk. I don't know when he'll come back, but he said one day. But Oscar Allen, this is weird to me, because if you guys remember on draft night, it was really, really controversial and was all over the media and all over the news. Because if you guys don't remember, it was leaked like a day or two before the draft that Oscar Allen became one of the first players in AFL history to actually tell teams that he didn't want to be drafted to them and didn't want to move states. In fact, telling teams that he only wanted to play for a Western Australian team and he basically would refuse to go. So when Oscar Allen, who was ranked like number 7 or 8 in the draft, fell down to like 25, everyone was like a little bit confused, or 23, wherever he went, because you had teams like Richmond who had like pick 17, who needed a key forward, to go alongside with Jack Rowell at the time, and they just passed on him, and everyone was like, what is going on here? How could teams like Richmond pass on Oscar Allen? Then it was revealed that he apparently told teams he didn't want to go there, and that's why he fell all the way down to West Coast pick, where he could go and play for his hometown team. So that was super controversial at the time. I remember that got a lot of hate, and a lot of people were a bit like, well, that's just not how it worked, but he ended up getting his way. The thing is now, though, I guess in 7 or 8 years, he may have changed his mind, because he's meeting with clubs, and he's meeting with clubs who actually need him, need a key forward, and can offer him the money. Again, Brisbane need a number 1 option. They're a flag contender. Hawthorn are a flag contender, and they really need a number 1 option and a key forward target. Yeah, this could really actually happen, and it's kind of crazy to think, but also like it legitimately makes a lot of sense if you do really think about it. So I'm going to be interested to see how this, of course, does unfold, and if Hawthorn do go for Oscar Allen, how much cap space do they still have left? Can they get him in? I don't think they have their first round pick. How are they going to try and make this trade happen? Or will West Coast just leave him go? Because I believe they would get a priority pick next to their first round pick, obviously. And if they finish second last, they would have pick 2 and 3. Again, that would be super interesting. If you're West Coast and you got pretty much pick 2 as a priority for Oscar Allen, you would have to 100% sit there and think, if we let him go here, that's not actually that bad. We can add another top 5 pick to go alongside Harley Reid and the incredible young core that we're building right now. Look, we lose our captain, and he's about only 25, 26. It would suck, but God, it would fit more of the time frame and the age bracket of the young players that they've got coming through right now. Yeah, it would be really interesting, and I don't think any of this is going to happen. I think Oscar Allen, if we're going off anything that happened 8 years ago or whatever, it will probably be re-signing with the West Coast Eagles Football Club, but it is definitely something I think to legitimately go and think about. But again, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all those AFL content and AFL news. Don't forget to comment your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. Do you guys think, again, that the West Coast Eagles are going to re-sign Oscar Allen? Do you guys think Hawthorn are going to go, and get him? Do you think Brisbane are going to get him? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions and basically everything else as well. All the other trade rumors and news. Subscribe to this channel for latest sports content. Use my gaming channel and my IRL/long channels, which will be getting linked down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.